The station covering all of the DMV. This is DC News Now.
Straight ahead here on DC News Now at 10, a double shooting is under investigation tonight in Prince George's County. What police are saying about the homicide investigation near an apartment building. Plus, after 2 black lawmakers are expelled in Tennessee, some rally for their return. A look at what it will take to make that happen. And on this Easter Sunday, thousands attend services all across the DMV. How some celebrated at the Basilica. Good evening. Thank you for joining us for DC News Now at 10. I'm Annalisa Gale. We're seeing some freeze warnings in the district. Let's get over to meteorologist Scott Sumner.
Yeah, good Sunday evening, everyone. I hope you had a beautiful day. But here we go again. We've got cold alerts and we have freeze warnings and frost advisories. In fact, for many places that saw them late last night into this morning. Now you can see a lot more in the way of a darker shade of blue, which goes all the way practically to the Chesapeake, and those are freeze warnings. They are in effect from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. on your Monday. Obviously, that means by the National Weather Service, we should get down to some freezing or below freezing temperatures in this region, and it is also going to hurt to obviously the crops are blooming, the plants and stuff are blooming, so it's going to hurt them, and hopefully we're able to protect them. As far as the frost advisory, well, that basically is pretty much confined to southern Maryland. Maybe a few counties here in portions of southeastern Virginia and the northern portion of it, but also the eastern shore of Maryland too. That is where you could have a little bit of frost across your windshield in the morning. Now, walking the dog, obviously, Fido has the fur coat. You don't. You'll need that coat though, as 20s and 30s will be the rule of thumb, dry and cold with a frosty start, like I said, for some of you. We'll get into the depth of the temperatures here and them really blossoming over the next 7 days. And we'll talk about that with that 7-day forecast coming up.
Thanks, Scott. Well, new tonight, 1 man is dead and another is in critical condition following a shooting in Prince George's County. Police say they responded around 4:30 p.m. to the 13,000 block of Edinburgh Lane where they found those victims. One of the men was found in the stairwell at the Arden Point Apartments. Neighbors tell us they heard more than a dozen shots shortly before. At this time, the men have not been identified. And right now, a death investigation is underway in the district after human remains were found in Northeast DC. Police made that discovery this morning just before 8 a.m. in the 800 block across the street from Union Station. The person's cause of death is still under investigation. At this time, police have not identified the individual found. Also new tonight in the district, police have identified a man shot and killed on Saturday in the 3400 block of A Street in Southeast Washington. Officers responded just after 12:30 p.m. to the area where they found 65-year-old Wendell Davis. A $25,000 reward is being offered for information leading to an arrest. Well, developing now, a Montgomery County family lost their pets after a house fire early this morning. A member of Montgomery County Fire and Rescue says that the fire happened shortly before 1 a.m. on Whetstone Road. Officials believe the fire was an accident, possibly tied to a malfunctioning lamp. The family's 3 dogs died in that fire, and 3 people were also hospitalized, with 1 person in critical condition. Well, new tonight, Democratic lawmaker Justin J. Pearson made an announcement on this Easter Sunday. He says he's planning to once again run for his old position in the Tennessee State House. This comes after he and another colleague were expelled for their participation in gun control protests in the State House last month. Marcus Hunter from our sister station WREG has the details.
I got to use my voice in this moment because that's all I got.
Sunday morning, former Representative Justin J. Pearson was back in the 86th District in Memphis. It was his first time back in the Bluff City since being expelled from his elected position.
Since day one, no respect, no kindness. When they saw Justin, they judged him before even getting to know him.
He was the guest pastor at Church on the River downtown.
Justin is going to preach instead of us.
He says he hopes to head back to Nashville soon to do the work of the people who elected him. However, it is now up to the Shelby County Commission to decide if that will happen.
I want to be reappointed as soon as possible to be able to serve District 86 as the voters just said in a primary and a general election that they wanted for me to.
Some on the Shelby County Commission say they are committed to the move as well, but have also noted funding threats from the state government if Pearson is reappointed. He says he hopes the commissioners cannot be bought.
But I believe there's some courageous county commissioners. I believe there's some people who understand that the will of the people matters, and the bullying and the bribing and the tactics of the state legislature, even in this moment, should tell us something about the way that place operates and why we have to send people there to change it.
Regardless of what the county commission decides to do, Pearson says he will be running for re-election. He says, unfortunately, because of the actions in Nashville, it is going to cost taxpayers here at home.
Shelby County is going to have to pass a resolution to spend $1 million on this election. The same county commission that will have to I am hopeful will reappoint us, will then have to spend that money and hope that the state reimburses them.
While Pearson has already launched his re-election campaign, he said he was at the church on Easter Sunday to speak about resurrection.
Even in moments where it seems that we are being crucified, where it seems that justice or hope or love and the things that we care about and the people we care about are being crucified, there's always this promise of a prophecy that will all be resurrected.
In downtown Memphis, Marcus Hunter, WREG News Channel 3.
Right now, former President Donald Trump is still fighting back against felony charges in New York, but he could soon face more charges. Gaynor Hall from our sister station in Chicago has the latest.
The historic moment playing out in a New York courtroom Tuesday. Former President Donald Trump pleading not guilty. He faces 34 felony counts accused of falsifying business records over hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels.
It is an absurd situation that multiple prosecutors passed by this rancid ham sandwich of an indictment, and Alvin Bragg suddenly decides to do it.
Trump's attorney signaling they'll try first to get the charges dropped and may look to get the venue moved out of Manhattan, where President Biden won the overwhelming majority in the last presidential election.
I think it's an unjust case. That's not to say that every legal challenge that the president faces is unjustified, but this one especially is.
Former Attorney General Bill Barr calling the New York case an abuse of prosecutorial power. But he says there's a very good chance Trump could face a federal indictment in the classified documents case.
The FBI was opposed to conducting the search. They weren't involved in launching the search. But also, those steps were taken after a long period, about 1.5 years, of trying to get the documents from him, which he had no claim to. He had no claim to those documents, especially the classified documents. They belong to the government.
And the Washington Post reports special counsel Jack Smith's investigation uncovered fresh evidence of possible obstruction at Mar-a-Lago.
The common denominator, whether you're talking about New York, Georgia, or DOJ, is differential treatment for President Trump than anybody in history.
The next legal challenge for the former president, who's running again for 2024, could come out of Georgia, where Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis is reportedly considering racketeering and conspiracy charges in a far-reaching investigation into efforts by Trump and his allies to overturn the 2020 election results. Gaynor Hall, WGN News.
Developing now, the most commonly used abortion method in the U.S., abortion pills, could now become illegal. Currently, the decision to stop the use of a specific abortion pill is on hold because a Texas federal judge ruled to remove it from pharmacy shelves. Meanwhile, a separate judge in Washington ruled that it should be kept available. All of it centering around the abortion pill mifepristone, which is used in over half of all abortions. It's been widely available for more than 20 years. Abortion advocates point to the fact that even if the popular pill is banned, abortion clinics would still be able to use an alternative FDA-approved pill. Abortion opponents see this as a victory.
The FDA put women and girls in harm's way, and it's high time the agency is held accountable for its reckless actions. Pregnancy is not an illness, and chemical abortion drugs don't provide a therapeutic benefit.
Now, if the Texas judge is able to overturn the FDA's approval of this abortion pill, it could set a precedent for other previously approved drugs, but it will be weeks or possibly months before we find out what happens next. In an effort to combat illegal drugs across the country now, the White House has launched a new campaign to educate young people about the dangers of fentanyl. Washington correspondent Rashad Hudson shows us how it will work.
It could be your friend, your neighbor, someone at work or school.
Dr. Rahul Gupta with the Office of National Drug Council Policy says teens are dying at a record rate from illegal drugs they often purchase online.
There's a high likelihood, if you're not getting them from a pharmacy or through a doctor's prescription, that they will have potentially lethal doses of fentanyl.
To save lives, the White House is launching a program to educate teens on the dangers of fentanyl and the life-saving medication Narcan.
Young people have the knowledge and the power to be able to save lives.
Republican lawmakers say the Biden administration's policies allow the flow of illegal drugs across the southern border. But Gupta says the administration is working with Mexico's government to expand drug enforcement.
We all know that this problem does not begin or end at the border.
Just last week, the FDA announced Narcan will soon be sold without a prescription, a move West Virginia Republican Senator Shelley Moore Capito says is crucial.
Very effective at stopping overdoses. By chance, it would be used on somebody who wasn't overdosing. It doesn't have any negative effects.
Gupta says the administration also wants to work with Congress to expand access to Narcan and other interventions. Reporting in Washington, Rashad Hudson.
On this Easter Sunday, thousands packed in for religious services around the DMV, including at the Basilica, which held several services throughout the day. The services come as Pope Francis called for prayers for both Ukrainian and Russians impacted by the war. He also praised nations which have been welcoming refugees. Those who attended Mass at the Basilica today left with joy.
Because I almost didn't show up physically here. I almost watched it online. But there's something important about ritual and celebrating in communion with other folks.
He really suffered, beaten and died for our sin. And then we're free. Yeah. You know? Yeah. We're free now, free.
Today, Pope Francis also prayed for those who lost loved ones in the earthquake in Syria and Turkey 2 months ago. All right, turning back outside, as you can see there, it was beautiful.
Oh, yeah, absolutely gorgeous. A lot of blue skies out there, Annalisa, today. And as we go into the evening hours, we still have clear skies. Temperature 52 degrees. Yeah, the temperature is going to be dropping overnight tonight. We have a light south to southeast wind at 7 miles an hour. But yes, we do have freeze warnings in effect. Once again, as I talked about at the top of the broadcast, freeze warnings in the dark blue, light blue will be frost advisories. So everybody, even places close to the coast and the water there, the Chesapeake and the Potomac, yes, you're going to have a cold night out there as well with plenty of clear skies to be seen. And as you'll see, those cold alerts extend all the way down throughout North Carolina. How about the running forecast for tomorrow now? If you are a runner or jogger, you want to get up. Yeah, it's going to be chilly out there, but a good run will warm you up nicely there. 28 to 38 degrees. By the afternoon, well, it'll be closer to normal. 62 to 68 degrees. But again, a little frosty in the morning. Southerly breeze, light at 5 miles an hour. But that will be the last time that we see a real cold night here in the short term, because warm air is going to build in all across the eastern half of the country. Not just during the day, but also at night as well. So don't expect 30s and freezing temperatures once we get past this evening here, at least in the short term. Clear skies tonight will lead to those warnings. Dry work week ahead. And are there any record high temperatures expected this week? Stick around. I have a graphic that shows that potential.